Good afternoon, Luke Sutton. Welcome to the podcast
Thank you very much.
of, the greatest podcast in the world.
Some have said it.
Some haven't.
Yeah.
Let's describe a roving official as your first question, because, I've got a few here, so we'll get cracking.
An official is someone who controls the play of a competition and administers the rules and laws of the sport to ensure the proper conduct of a sporting fixture is being taken place in a safe environment. Because you know yourself, playing sport, if you've got a referee who isn't in control, administrating the rules, you're never going to learn, are you? So
No, of course you're not, no. And that's a great answer. You've got that experience, haven't you?
Exactly.
You've done a lot of research.
I mean, I've done my own reffing before, and
You have, yes.
it's
That's
an
a
art,
great
it's an hard job. It's an
I'm
hard
glad
job.
to have you on this podcast.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of somebody within the role, other than yourself, obviously?
No. Well, I think there's only one man to say for this.
One man.
An example.
Mark Lattenberg?
No. And
No?
of an official, Mike Dean.
Oh, yeah, I've missed
He
out, yeah.
officiated professionally for many years in football. Was
Yeah.
the number one ref for 10, 15 years in the Premier League. Very well respected man. They all stood by him, they all respected him. And he respected the players.
Ooh. Now, that's the first controversial take, but listen, opinions are here for the podcast, and I like it.
Exactly.
What would you say, other than being a ref and giving penalties, what are the responsibilities of the role? Because everyone thinks it's just get on the pitch,
Yeah.
give a few corners, free kicks, but if you'd like to elaborate on that, then...
No, it's much more than that. The responsibilities of an official are more important than you think. There's someone who controls the action of play, so if you, sometimes you might get a ref who let things go, sometimes you might get a ref who will want to talk to you. Be respectful.
Yeah, that's right, but other than the decisions on the pitch,
Yeah.
I'm talking health and safety, controlling...
I'm glad you said health and safety, because
Oh, really?
well, the referees are in charge of the safety of the participants. Because if your ref's letting stuff go, like our challenges, which we saw on the weekend.
What I would say is they're very important, aren't they? Because without the ref, there's no game, is there?
Exactly. You always need a ref.
Yeah.
And if you get a good ref who's vocal and all this,
Vocals,
it's a
yeah.
good day.
Well, speaking about vocal, what is a skill that you say is very important as a ref?
We've already said it, haven't we?
Vocal.
Vocal.
Yeah.
Vocal is one.
Yeah.
Vocals are very, very important as an official because they need to be in control of a game. So being quick to explain instructions loudly, but also they have to make sure they're respectful, don't they? Because if you're asking an official for a decision, they're shouting in your face.
If you want the players to respect you, you've got to dish it out on you.
That's what the words out my mouth.
Yeah, there we go. And would you say most refs are like very vocal? Would you say the best refs are vocal?
Well,
or would you say some of them
obviously,
are
it depends what level you play at, but the top tier refs, they're always very respectful to players and
I've
captains,
seen that on some videos.
making sure they understand every decision that's given, so if people are appealing, they can explain themselves.
Yeah, well, could you give an example of that? Do you know what I mean? Like an example of when they're very vocal.
Someone's made a foul in the game and it may have been a little bit 50-50 which way it could go. The captain can go up to the referee and they can ask like, ref, what's this for? But the ref can calmly and respectfully tell the captain why he's given the decision and justify himself, and then they can carry on with the game. Really.
Yeah, the referee's pulling the strings in here where the players have to understand there's only one person with the power.
They are in charge at the end of the day, but they also have to be respectful to players, because if they're not, how can you expect respect off the players?
Well, we've hit the 4-minute mark, so what is a skill that is so important for this role that you'll need to be a referee?
Well, another skill could be a good listener.
Yeah.
It links in with vocal.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Because this is, as a captain, if you're like telling the ref this and he doesn't want to communicate with you, he's not listening, how are you meant to understand the ref?
The game might get out of control then as well, yeah. And it might get, if the ref's not listening or speaking, things might get a bit out of hand, feisty.
Also, it can be used with coaches as well on the sideline. If the official gives something the coaches are like this, the coaches can give their opinion if something they think's going against them, and tell the official, and he can take
But
that
then,
on board.
like Ryan Lowe on Tuesday night, Wigan against Bolton.
Oh yeah. Great
Obviously,
manager.
sometimes you can go too far. Obviously,
Yeah.
Schumacher stayed calm.
Yeah.
Lowe got sent off, but that ended up obviously with a Wanderers win.
Exactly. But because what we can say that the ref was in control.
The ref
Gave
was
out the
in
bookings
control,
when it was needed. A lot
100%.
of bookings for Wigan.
And it got very feisty. So I think the ref did well, and that's a great.
It's a great
example that
Great
you just
example of
used.
an up and coming ref in the EFL.
Can you explain another skill that this role requires? Because I know you've got your listening and your speaking. But what's the skill that you need?
Well, I think.
And obviously, you had, I think, phone call or whatever.
Yeah.
Explain another skill this role requires. I think was the last question I
Yeah.
asked when you got
Yeah,
a
it
bit
was, I
distracted.
remember.
Yeah.
And it's funny how you said we've come back all composed. Another great skill that can
Oh,
be used as an
I
official.
mean, the coins. I mean, this
Exactly.
podcast. I mean, this is
That's
why
wrong,
it is
isn't
the
it?
best podcast in the world.
Well, obviously, composure, because if a game's getting heated, you know, say
Merseyside derby last
Tuesday
night.
night, Wigan
Tuesday
Bolton.
night, Wigan
exactly.
Bolton.
If it's a derby, even if it's not a derby, but a game that's just getting heated, the ref has to have composure, because
Yeah.
if the ref loses the composure, it's handing out bookings left, right, and centre. It's not a good watch, really.
No, and everyone gets on your back, and that's where you start
Exactly.
stuttering, making decisions. But I thought
Exactly.
the ref Tuesday night when Bolton smashed Wigan, great,
Yeah, brilliant.
brilliant referee.
Do you want me to tell you what's
Well-
important?
Well,
Do you want me to carry on?
I was going to ask to give an example on my script, but you just brilliantly
Yeah.
already said it. But
I mean,
could
I
you
can
give me
give
another example?
Example. So, if say that you know penalty in football,
A penalty.
say it's like a 50-50 decision, but it's like last minute, it can change a game, it can
It
change a
can, yeah.
result. It's big pressure on your shoulders. You still have to be composed.
Then everyone's on your back.
And go. If people are shouting at you, say give it. You've got to be in your own mind. You know, as an official, you know more than them about the rules.
You know, I like the penalty, but could you say it's the same? Obviously, Tarkowski last night, because it's in the
Yeah.
5th minute.
I understand.
Does that change? And because it's at Anfield, does it change your decision in the 70th
Well,
minute?
it is very, very early in the game, but I did think it was very rash from Tarkowski, and I thought he was a little bit lucky to get the yellow.
It was, but unfortunately, we've got a referee here, so we're not going to be talking all football today.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Why is this skill so important for an official? Because it's composure. Does everyone not need that? A coach needs it in some situations, a player. So why is it so important for an official?
Well, you know, there's going to be a lot of game-changing decisions in the game, isn't there? And if, say, like you've got one team shouting at you, giving you ear and stuff, you can't just go against them because they're getting on your nerves or anything. You've got to remember you've got a job to do as an official, and it's to be neutral and be in charge of that game.
At the end of the day, it's a job.
It is a job at the
It's
end
not.
of the day. You
It's
might
not.
enjoy it, but
It's
a
not
job.
who you want to win. It's not who you
No,
want to
not
lose.
at all.
But yeah, that's a
Good job
brilliant
at Ref High and not Stevenage.
Just done one. Just this. We're up to this now.
Ah,
Have you done that yet?
yeah.
Done your research. Well done. Explain.
I'm prepared for the podcast, don't worry.
Explain the characteristic this role requires. Obviously,
Well,
I've got my script, so
yeah.
I was just seeing if
Well,
I was okay to
one
ask you.
kind of similar to vocal and good listener, but approachable is a very important characteristic.
Yeah,
as
I agree. As a
official.
player, as a man who plays football, that is a huge
Exactly.
characteristic for a
'Cause
referee,
there's-
especially.
I think, as I play myself, there's nothing more annoying than when you get a ref and he just doesn't want to listen to you.
He's cocky and he thinks he's up there. Yeah.
'Cause
Go
he's
on, carry on.
official.
Sorry, I'm stopping.
No, it's alright, no, don't worry. But it's important because you need to be able to communicate with your players in any sport, whatever it is, to make sure that they understand your decisions so that you can carry on with the game in a fairly manner.
Yeah, create a smooth flowing game, which
Exactly,
obviously leads to a better
exactly.
environment and better games. And that's what I prefer as someone who does play football.
At a good level, don't you?
Yeah, you know, obviously
Might ref him someday.
ex Burnley, but unfortunately picked up Oscar Slatus in the injury. So that's what I'll be telling my grandkids. Give an example of when this characteristic is used.
An example of when this can be used, there's a lot of times it can be used, but for one, when conflict arises in a game, like I've said, the referee needs to be in control and get the participants back under control, because
it might just get out of hand. Sorry, was you thinking that wasn't listening?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought it
I was
was
just having a
ignoring
drink.
it,
Yeah.
But no, if it gets out of hand after flows come down a bit, you bring the two. Sorry to keep using football as an example, but to bring the two captains over.
I mean, a lot of the listeners are football enjoyers, so I'm sure they won't mind. But if you know a bit about rugby, boxing, martial arts, tennis, golf,
Dabbled in martial arts.
have you?
Well,
Just a quick question off script. Who's your favourite?
Oh,
And what's your favourite fight you've ever watched?
my favourite, probably because he's quite local, not too far away.
Not too local.
I think you know where we're going.
Well, we are from around Northwest, so if you can guess, just leave it in the comments. But
Yeah.
Luke won't say
I'm
anymore.
not going to say, I'll let you guess, but that's a pretty good
roll
clue
on.
to go on. But back to where we were.
So, explain a quality that this role requires.
Yeah.
I think
Talking about approachable, was it?
it was, yeah. I mean, we're not going to waste that long.
I remember giving an example, but
There was just an event, and we thought we'd be distracted, so we just rolled the ads. But why is this characteristic important to the role?
Well, being approachable is important because you can build trust and respect from your participants, because a lot of referees think they can come to places and just automatically gain respect of players
It's not how it
just
works.
because they're in charge. It's not how it works. You need to earn your respect.
Especially not in the lower levels, which I'm sure you've
That's
obviously
where I
as an
started.
official.
Where I started. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And it also promotes fairness in the game, because nobody likes a cheater. Everyone needs to be fair. Obviously, there's gamesmanship, stuff like this, time wasting.
Gamesmanship.
You know what gamesmanship is?
Well, I just thought it was sportsmanship, but
No, gamesmanship.
Gamesmanship might be a word.
Bending the rules.
okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. But overall, promote the rules in the game being fair.
Are you ready for the next question?
Do you want me to elaborate a little bit?
You can do. I'd love you to.
Well, it's important because if they are dishonest, they can manipulate information, deceive the public.
Yeah, they can.
They can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of blown away by that answer because
I know me stuff.
listen, I'd love to reply, but you covered everything there.
Yeah. Should we move on?
I'm more than happy to move on if you'd like me to, yeah.
Have a look at your script here quickly.
No.
Okay.
Trying to take the scripts. Listen, Mike Dean, can you explain a quality that this role requires?
Of course I can. Being calm under pressure.
I mean, it's short, it's sweet, but give an
Oh
example.
no, I can explain. I'm just naming it at first.
He's doing well, but
So if you're being calm under pressure, in fact, it's quite highly because it gives you better decision making in pressure environments for officials. But not only if you're calm under pressure, it means you're probably going to come to most likely the right decision, which means again fairness in the game, neutral, you're in charge. Yep. So yeah.
Give an example when this quality is used.
No worries. So, say, I was going to say a penalty, but I'll give a different example.
Go on.
Should we go in a different sport?
Let's dabble. Go
I'll
on.
dabble.
Go on.
So, for the rugby listeners,
Oh, there's not many.
I've dabbled in the
No, we love our rugby.
dabbled in the
listeners.
rugby. But say like this a moment later on, you're in Golden Point, but
Golden, is that where it's like extra
so
time?
you finish as a draw and then it goes to extra time, but whoever gets
For our
the first
football
point
listeners,
wins.
is that like golden goal?
Yeah.
Right, so it's like golden goal. So obviously I must say, I'll put my hand up, I'm not a big rugby guy. Okay, so if I get something wrong, don't crucify me.
So no, say you're in Golden Point, not it's battling it out, but you know, high tackle,
Like Lee at
high
Wembley.
tackle,
I remember that.
Leopards.
Yeah.
But there's been a high tackle, but some people are giving you stick if you're going to go one way, some are giving you the other. But remember, it's all about being calm. You might be on a big stage, it could be the final, but you've got to be
Like
calm.
Lee at Wembley.
There's a good example, Lee at Wembley. But then, yeah, they give the penalty or you don't, it's all up to you. But remember, you're a neutral, you can't go with which way the game's
And you
flowing.
can't stutter, can you? Because then everyone's confused in what
Yeah,
you're doing, and everyone
you've got
thinks
to be completely.
it's got to be like a
Go
second
with
nature
it,
on it.
yeah.
Why is this quality important for this role?
This quality is important because, like I said again, you've got to be coming to the right decision most of the time. Obviously, as we know, referees do make mistakes, but they're neutral and they're trying at the end of the day. So if you can't
That's all you can ask for, because they're human at the end of the day. They're not robots.
Exactly.
And sometimes you might have to put yourself in that position. You've got 30,000 at Wembley chanting. It's gonna get in there, but you've got to try your best not to, haven't you? And as a ref, you can tell me that more.
Yes, 100%. Should we move on to another quality? I've got one more.
If you like, listen, he's come prepped, hasn't he? So, by the way, what sports do you participate in?
Oh, it's a good question. I participate in many sports, really.
No.
Football, rugby and golf. Is my
Golf?
main three.
Yeah,
individual
golf.
sport, getting it in there, a bit calm.
The
It's a
only
lot
thing
calmer
is,
than
with
the
an
other two.
official for golf, there's not.
No, I
too
don't know.
much
There's
you
no
can say.
officiating in golf. Just
Yeah.
that's just in the team sports. So golf's
Yeah.
just something to take my mind off things.
Yeah, and I hope you're doing very well at the minute, because you're retired, aren't you, at the minute?
Retired, no.
And a retired
no.
official. Well, you're active, but like as an
Yeah.
official.
Always active.
Have you done a official? Yeah, I know you've done rugby officiating. What about football?
Oh no, I've done both.
He's done both.
I've been both.
So you've
Never
got
golf
experience.
though.
in
Golf's
this.
just to take my mind off.
So you've got
things.
experience in this topic.
Yeah, of course I have.
Right. Well, that's great to
Shall we
know.
go into my quality?
Don't know. You'll have to ask the chat.
I'll go
Yeah,
anyway.
of
They'll
course.
enjoy
Let's
it.
go.
So, what could be the main one? Physical fitness. Because no one likes a ref.
Do you know what? How many times you see a ref and think physical fitness? You don't, do you?
No.
So
The questions on you about your role. Obviously, captain in football, decent level.
I'd say so, but I don't like being a bit over the top. But
No, he plays at a good level. So I'm basically going to flip the question you asked me. Do it in your role now.
go on, I'm happy with that.
So overall, just describe your role really as a captain.
Well, the role of a captain is obviously, being a big leader for the squad.
Yeah.
Captain needs to lead by example, motivating, disciplining the team to gain success during tough situations. And I feel like I do that well.
Would you
So-
say you are very well respected by your teammates? as a
Very
captain?
well respected, obviously. It's not about the ability, although I'd say I've got one of the highest abilities in the squad without having too much of an ego. It's really not about that. And anyone who wants to be a captain, it's about hard work and good communication.
Take them tips on you as a good captain. Give an example of somebody within this role, really. There's a lot of people to pick from, but who would you say is just like you?
I'd say, although I don't play there, Virgil van Dijk,
Oh, BVD.
very good centre half.
Great example.
He's
to
brilliant
be
for
fair.
Liverpool, and Virgil van Dijk, he's a great captain and one I look up to, and you can see a lot of Liverpool's successes because of him.
Yeah,
He stays
definitely.
composed, he's a great leader. I mean, during tough times, he's the one that stands out, and you feel bad for if it's not working, because he's obviously trying to rally the troops well, and I think he's just brilliant as a captain.
Yep, so what are the responsibilities of being a captain of a big club, say like Van Dijk for Liverpool? Obviously, they'll come with a lot of challenges and stuff. What are the responsibilities of being that captain?
It's keeping the team together and well spirited, I believe, and not letting their heads drop in tough times, because You look at the 2021 season,
Yeah, I can remember.
the lockdown season,
Yeah.
and this is where I'm going to use Van Dijk as a brilliant example.
Yeah.
It was shocking. Just come third because of Ronaldo and Adam. Shocking
Yeah.
it was. All season losing. But Van Dijk in that season, he was injured. He comes back into the squad the next season and is on for a quadruple. Now, I don't believe that's because of luck or anything like that. Van Dijk, he's put his head into the team. Do you know what I mean? He's sacrificed it, sacrificed hard work, extra time, and you can see he's give communication. And his responsibility is to keep the team gelled, work hard, and achieve success. And that's, I believe, he's done that very well.
That is a brilliant explanation of the responsibilities. But moving on from that now, I'm going to ask you about a couple skills. Obviously, once again, there'll be plenty.
I'll stop you
captain
there.
Quite.
Communication.
Oh,
You said it, I'm going to say
is
it.
it me?
It's
Is
an
it me?
official, it's an
Communication.
captain. You need it. Football, you need it. Alright? Effective communication is essential to this role. It ensures players follow, whether it's the manager or the captain, they need to follow you. It's like sheep, a bit like sheep. If you put them in the right place, they'll be brilliant. But if everything gets out of hand and this player doesn't like him, it falls apart, and the captain's like the glue to the team, I believe.
Yeah, so obviously with communication, I would say, Asher, can you give an example? But there's a lot of football listeners. They should really know when communication can be used. It can be used whenever, really, can't it?
I can give you an example if you really want to.
Go on then. Well, we've got time.
In high pressure situations, players may start to panic, whether it's a big game or a little game that means a little bit more.
Yeah.
A captain's role is to calm them down and make sure they perform as well as they do when they're not pressurised. And I believe the captain is essential to that, and making sure everything's not too overwhelming the players and they have the right mind and the right focus. And that's how I believe success is made.
So, explain, obviously there's skills and stuff like that. I know qualities are quite similar, but do you reckon you could give us a quality?
Quality.
Mm.
No, do you know what? I believe the most important quality for a captain is it's not the ability. Alright, and that might sound confusing, but I believe it's the actual leadership itself, because you need the belief of other players to work hard and listen to your commands. And a good leader, good leadership, it boosts teams' morale. And you can see Van Dijk is brilliant at that, and it's just propelled him to the next level. I mean, before Van Dijk, you had Gerrard, same again. But in between that period, he wasn't a really big leader.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So explain which is the most important skill for this role and why.
For me, the most important skill is effective communication, as it's the glue to the team, as the captain is responsible to the manager of giving the right feedback to players and helping them improve. An example of this is Liverpool's 97-point season and the UCL triumph in 2019. This all came from Van Dijk's great leadership as well as Henderson's and determination to make sure the players fight to the last second. This season highlighted how good of a leader he really was, and they stuck to it and they grafted no matter how hard the situation was.
Yeah. So what skills can maybe affect characteristics?
What skills?
Yeah, so obviously you give communication and stuff like that, so how can that affect being things like...
You don't know.
You tell me.
Can you just repeat that question? Just the question, please. Not like any.
Yeah.
Just
So what skills can affect characteristics and how?
Well, the skill I've got is effective communication,
Yeah.
whereas the characteristic I've got empathy. So they both come under the same bracket, and I believe both of them combined makes a great captain, no matter the ability. Because empathy, for me, empathy is important as it allows you to build a trust among players, which can create a steady environment. But communication can also do that, but put you into better games as well. So it's about team morale, I believe, and the more gelled them two are together, I think if you combine empathy and communication, I believe it makes a great leader. Hopefully you get what I'm saying.
No, I do.
I may have phrased that a bit.
It's well explained now, I understand.
But yeah, that's what I'd say anyway.
We'll skip forward in your script a little bit. Let's move on to just describe the term personality to me.
Personality?
Yeah.
Well,
What is personality?
Listen, I mean, it's about the leader, innit? It's about
Yeah.
who you are deep, whether it's in the changing rooms or on the pitch. It refers to the unique, behaviours, emotions and patterns that define, in this case, Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Because if you're consistently interacting with players around them, it boosts morale. It encompasses a wide range of attributes, including all the players may think, feel, or act in high pressure, low pressure situations.
And can you describe, last question before we finish actually, can you describe type A and type B personalities?
Oh, we're running over time. Okay.
Mm.
Well, a type A individual is often described as highly competitive. The words ambitious, driven, time conscious. So he's not a captain, but one I'd use, Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
He wants it. He's hungry. A bit like Ronaldo. He's hungry
Yeah.
for the trophies. He's
Yeah.
not. He's not laid back. He's hungry. He's determined. They tend to have like fast pace and an aggressive approach to games. So people with type A personalities are often in a constant rush to accomplish tasks and achieve goals. Whereas in contrast, type B is what I imagine you're going to say next.
Yeah.
Are more relaxed, easygoing, less competitive than type A counterparts, which I'd say Van Dijk is a mix of both. He's composed, but he's hungry, he's determined.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So if there was a type A, B, I believe Van Dijk could fit into that. So I won't put him in one or the other, but they tend to take a bit slower pace and genuinely more focused and enjoying the present moment rather than thinking about the future achievements. But yeah, I hope that's a good explanation, and if you've got any more questions, I'm happy to answer quickly.
No, I think we've got it all out here really, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Hopefully so. Right, anyway, great podcast that, thank you.
Thank
and
you
I'll
for
see you
having me
later.
on.
No problem.